You expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Written by Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, once again directed by Sam Mendes, 2015's Spectre. You know, I always say this is a Daniel Craig era version of a Sean Connery era Bond film, if that makes any sense. I think it does if you think about it. Because this is very reminiscent of the good old days. This is very reminiscent of the Sean Connery and Roger Moore era. It starts with the way Daniel Craig portrays Bond in this film. He ramped up his charms, he plays this a little more lighthearted, and he reminds us a lot of Sean Connery and Roger Moore. He's still Daniel Craig, he's still his version of Bond, but you know, with a lot of winks and nods. Yeah, as I said, to the good old days, to Sean Connery and Roger Moore. And it's also the film style in general. First of all, they bring back good old Spectre, good old Blofeld, those characters from the old days. We haven't seen them in decades, those familiar tropes, and for this alone, I love this film. So this automatically gives the film an old school charm, and it's for the set design, for example, it's very 60s, very old school, very cozy, very charming, and you know, think about there's a Spectre meeting, for example, and the way the whole thing looks, the way it's lit. How you see just a Blofeld silhouette and the light coming from behind him, and everything about this scene is very much 1960s. What's going on there? There's a train fight, like in From Russia with Love. The train, the interior looks like straight from the 60s, you know. So there's an old school charm about this film, about the looks, about the feels, the humor, and familiar elements from a bygone era. And all of those elements make Spectre my cozy Bond film, my comfort Bond film. It's also, yeah, the set design, the locations. I always watch this film around winter time, around Christmas time, because it's such a cozy, feel-good movie. You know, there's Austria filmed in winter time. It just looks beautiful. Visually, again, a very pleasing film, and it's a little more lighthearted in general. So it's very easy to just, you know, stop thinking about it too much. It's very easy to just enjoy this film. It's escapism, good old escapism, and that's what I needed back in the day. That's what I need right now. This movie perfectly fits into the year we are living in, because, you know, there's a lot of dark things going on, and in the world, maybe it's not an easy time, I don't know, don't want to talk about all of this, but I think it's what people need at the moment. I think that's what people are longing for in regards to the Bond films. I think it's just my opinion, you know, I may be wrong, but I think people are longing for a little more lightheartedness, and, you know, this film was exactly that. Yeah, it was to be taken seriously in parts, but at the same time it was very lighthearted, very charming, and easy escapism. So this is what I love about Spectre. It's my comfort Bond film. I can watch it any day of the week. It never gets old, and I just feel it feels like a warm and cozy blanket to me, this film. And that's what gives it a very high rewatchability for me. So, I mentioned Craig's portrayal of Bond. It's very reminiscent to the good old days. We have Christoph Waltz playing Blofeld. A lot of people didn't like his portrayal and thought he underperformed a little bit. I don't think so. I loved his performance. I never got the criticism. I think he's just what I expected him to be. He is Christoph Waltz playing an insane guy, and uh, I like him as Blofeld. Can't say much more about him. And I love Lea Seydoux playing Madeline Swan. I became a fan of hers after watching No Time to Die because her character got really fleshed out in No Time to Die. And I wasn't the biggest fan of her in Spectre back in the day. Because the love affair with Bond wasn't believable and her character wasn't that fleshed out by that time. But knowing her full character arc now, rewatching Spectre, I can enjoy her character way more. And besides that, I think visually she's the perfect fit for Craig. Those two standing beside each other on the poster, on the promo poster, I think she's a perfect match for him. The way she looks, the way she's dressed, and she's just highly charismatic. I guess she's my second favorite Bond girl of them all by now, after watching her in No Time to Die. I really enjoy her, and I also enjoy her in this film. We got WWE superstar Batista playing Mr. Hinks, an old school henchman in the tradition of Jaws or Oddjob, all of those people. And that's very entertaining. That's another old school charming element of this film. The train fight is amazing. I love this scene, not only because of the set design, but it reminds me of The Spy Who Loved Me or movies like that, where Jaws is fighting against Bond. Because Batista is such a huge guy. Craig seems to be very, very tiny compared to him, and that alone makes the fight scene very exciting. So I love him. I love, most of the action. The pre-title sequence is one of my favorites in the series. What they did in Mexico, again with the set design alone and getting all of those hundreds of people into makeup, and the fight scene at the helicopter, looks beautiful, looks amazing. A lot of people compared about the film's color grading because there's some sepia tone filter. And throughout the whole movie, a lot of people didn't like it, but I think it perfectly fits the mood of the film. I think it fits the old school charms, the old school feel of the film. I think it's aesthetically pleasing, and I enjoy this a lot. No problem with that. The score is not the best, maybe, because David Arnold wasn't there. And that's a crime for a Bond film, because the music is average at best, and watching a Bond film I want above average. I love the title track, The Writings on the Wall, performed by Sam Smith. I think this is a great song, and again, a lot of people didn't like this one, didn't like his voice, his high-pitched voice. I think he's amazing. I think he's in the tradition of old school Bond songs again, and I think it's a great track. Didn't like what Sam Smith turned into after this, but that's another thing. But I love this song, and I love the visuals going on in the title sequence. I think they're, again, very beautiful. And, now talking about the downsides of this film. It's the film always got a problem because it's taking itself a little too seriously, I think. The whole storyline with Bond and Blofeld and making them brothers, that's of course absolutely ridiculous, and it takes itself very serious, and that's its problem, I think, because it's such a light-hearted film, and the more serious elements don't fit into that mood at all. They seem to be very misplaced, and that's what makes it easy to ridicule the film a little bit. A lot of people are talking down on the film because of those silly moments which take themselves way too seriously. and it's an easy thing to do. So yeah, rightfully so. People are criticizing this. Again, I can overlook it, because I focus on the more light-hearted elements and of the charming and cozy elements of the film. And yeah, I love a little bit about the whole bro-filled storyline and all of those things. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, and yeah, I can live with that. Some people complain about the action not being very exciting. There's a car chase in Rome at night, where the streets seem to be strangely empty. There's no people, no other cars, and something like that. Yeah, that's a little strange. It's a very atmospheric car chase, I think. I like it more because of the atmosphere. How it's lit in the streets at night, and the cars look beautiful, and you got a little gadget in the Bond car, like in the good old days. And I enjoy it for those elements, not because of the action per se, So I can also enjoy this. Also, a lot of people criticize the finale of the film because it isn't a major action scene. It's just, the helicopter thing and Bond throwing down his weapon and walking off the scene and driving into the sunset with Madeline. I love this. First of all, I love that they returned to London for this. Because I always like when Bond returns to his hometown, and it's such a beautiful atmospheric set piece to have, Westminster or stuff like that. Also beautiful night scenes. I don't know, I have a thing for scenes shot at night. Nighttime scenes. I like this in general. So I like this scene also in terms of atmosphere and in terms of the visuals. And yeah, again, one of those winks and nods to the good old days where Blofeld is like, goodbye, Mr. Bond. And very, very charming. And for an old fan like me, just beautiful little moments. You also got a Rolls Royce, like Goldfinger drove it. Yeah, all of those little moments, those little Easter eggs for us fans worked very well. You got Monica Bellucci as a second Bond girl. She has very little screen time. She was the oldest Bond girl by that time in Bond history. But she looks perfect. She fits the mood perfectly. She fits into a Bond film perfectly. So I also enjoy her a lot. And the locations, Mexico City, Austria, beautiful Austria in the wintertime, London, all of those things, very beautiful, very, very atmospheric. So yeah, I like this film a lot because it's my comfort film. And I hope I was able to convince you to maybe give it another try, a little rewatch, and hopefully you will enjoy it a little more this time. I think it was what people were longing for back in the day, and I think it perfectly fits into the year 2025, because I think people are longing for a little more lightheartedness in regards of the Bond films. I think that's what people want at the moment. That's just my personal opinion. That's my feeling. Perfect time to give it a rewatch. It's also its 10th anniversary. So yeah, give it another try. Love you, love the Bond community. See you very soon.